So in Chapter 2 for business management, we were to look at the different types of management perspectives that have occurred over time. Um, Basically, there's been 8 total that have occurred, with one of the first ones being the classical perspective. Basically, this is looking at things in terms of production. This was very big when factories were very popular. So back in like the early 1900s and stuff like that. So there are 4 different subfields for the classical perspective. There's the scientific management, bureaucratic organizations, administrative principles, and management science. So for the first one, the scientific management, there are 3 different characteristics. You have your general approach, contributions, and criticisms. So basically, different workers had different abilities, and based off of their abilities, that's the type of job that they were appropriate for, and they were selected to do those specific things. They were trained in terms of like standard methods, and on top of that, they would be very planned in what their work was going to be. So Gantt charts. His last name was Gantt. I forget his first name. Henry Gantt created the Gantt chart to help plan and organize the worker's schedule to mainly eliminate interruptions. There were also wage incentives. So for contributions, this basically demonstrated the importance of compensation for performance, and initiated the careful study of tasks and jobs. And then for criticisms, basically they looked more at their workers as uniformed and ignored their suggestions and ideas. Obviously, this can kind of make an employee feel undervalued or not needed or something like that. So that's pretty big criticism, because productivity can go down without productive workers. Next, you have the bureaucratic organizations. Basically, this was more for managers using power rather than personality. There were smaller improvements in like productivity gains. The only thing is they had a desire to make the best decisions, and unfortunately that resulted in lower efficiency, which is big, because in a business you're going to want to be as productive and efficient as possible to make the most money and be as most successful. So there are some pros and cons to that. Next, you have administrative principles. Basically, this is like a set of principles, and generally there are like 14 different principles. A lot of them have to do with the unity of command, unity of direction, division of work, stuff like that. Basically, there are 5 functions of management. You have your planning, your organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling. So all of those 5 things are very important. Planning and organizing kind of go together. Commanding and controlling kind of go together as well, and coordinating kind of goes in between there. So basically, you have to be able to effectively command and control in order to be a good leader and a good manager. These are things that are still used today. So next we have management science. Basically, you're going to want to give your employees a sense of control, because it's going to make them feel valued. As a result, production is going to go up. You want to give them more responsibility, but not necessarily more work. You give them more work, they're not going to want to do it. You want to make sure that your company believes in your employees, and production will go up. So yeah, this is something that's widely used today. Yeah. So next we have another perspective, would be the humanistic perspective. Basically, this is more about encouragement, empowerment. You don't want to drain your employees. You're going to want to consistently give them little compliments and encourage your employees, but not to the point where it's overdoing it and sort of the value of those compliments goes away. You just want to make sure that they're positive and make sure that they know that they're doing a good job, because when you hear that, people like hearing that, so it's gonna make them want to keep working, keep getting those compliments. You want to meet the needs of your people, and basically, when you do that, you're gonna have employees that stay longer. And if you have a record of keeping employees for a longer period of time, that usually means that you're doing pretty good within your system. Yeah, so you're going to want to treat them better, and they're going to perform better. Next, we have the contingency view. Basically, for this, it's every situation is going to be unique. When you're looking through this perspective, different situations are going to require different types of ways to handle it. In order to do so, managers will have to determine which will work best for each situation, because not everything's going to have to be done the same way. So you're going to need to identify the problem, identify a way to manage that situation, and then go from there. Basically, managers can change their style based on the situation. That's something that's very important, and if you're able to do that as a manager, I think that's pretty good, because it shows that you're able to adapt to each situation, and because not every situations or problems are going to be needed to be handled the same. So if you're able to adapt and do something like that, I think that's very good. And yeah, so you need a certain type of decision making, and I think, to me, experience would be something that's very important in something like this. You know which perspectives to use, which styles, which situations to use it in. So I think experience is something that's very important for the contingency view. Lastly, we have one of the most recent ones, which is the people-driven workplace. This is basically employee engagement and radical decentralization. So basically, this is when employees have the authority to make key decisions about their work. This does have some pros and some cons as well. Basically, you're giving them more responsibility. It's going to make them feel valued, sort of like the humanistic perspective that I talked about before. With this, their production will go up. You're going to give them more responsibilities, yada, yada, yada. Same type of deal. On the other hand, you're giving them the ability to make decisions on something that they may not normally have the ability to make the decision. If I don't know how to word that properly. Hopefully you know what I mean. Power can be abused. You can get power hungry, and it's not something that will happen for just the lower levels. It can happen in all different types of levels. Basically, this is something that would definitely need to be monitored. I think that this can be good. Like I said, it can increase productivity, give people more incentive to keep working, gives them more responsibility, but you just got to be careful on the decisions that they make, because they can be poor decisions and sort of personal or centralized decisions. So basically, yeah, those are 4 of the 8 different management perspectives that have happened over time, and that's for chapter 2.